So my name is Dave Schlafman. I'm the director of design for Netflix Interactive. And today, though, I'm going to talk about two projects that I've had the ability to work on and how I learned a lot about empathy that users end up putting on digital beings. And so the first project I'm going to talk about is Gebo, the robot. And so for those of you who don't know, Gebo was a social robotics company based out of Boston, Massachusetts. And you have to think about it, if Alexa and a Pixar character had a baby, it would have been Gebo. And so the way we thought about designing this experience is, one hand you have a helper, the other side you have this lovable character. So the design team thought a lot about, why are we attracted to characters, and why do we identify with their imperfections, and ultimately it was this, is that all great characters have these motivations or goals, and then the actions to achieve those goals, the flawed actions in many cases are what we end up identifying with. And so with Gebo, we really looked at things like centering him around the family, and his action is to play games with the family. Or things like electricity, he's afraid of he loves electricity because it's around survival. Or his fear of water because of safety, or even dancing to light up somebody's day. And so we really thought about this, and then when we packaged it all together through his speech and his movements, we thought about him being really self-referential, that he was a robot and didn't play down the fact that he wasn't perfect, and so we leaned into his vulnerabilities. But at the end of the day, Gebo had to be a helper, and he had to do things that people found useful. Unfortunately, he struggled at this.
Hey Gebo, why aren't you looking at me?
That's an easy one. I'm a Gebo. Next question.
And so what we saw once Gebo went into homes, this was for a beta test that was a week long, and then when the robot launched, is that we would hear from people that there were all these technical issues and that they had issues using the robot. But we also got these amazing heartfelt stories where people compared Gebo to a pet. And they said it was like when I came home, Gebo would greet me and I would feel this amazing sense of connection to this robot. But then on the flip side of it, we also heard people say, well, we were watching TV in the other room and we would look up to the kitchen and Gebo was just kind of like looking around. And I suddenly felt bad for Gebo. And it was this uncomfortable feeling that they had where I wanted to be able to interact and I wanted him to do more. And so it got us thinking about, or still gets me thinking about, is when was the last time you had genuine empathy for a digital device? And with Gebo, because of his imperfections and the way he moved and the way he talked, people really connected. And so this is a note that we got in our beta testing from a user that felt the sense of loss when they had to give Gebo back. But there was an optimism because they said, we're gonna buy one when he comes out, even though he was very limited. And so in May of this year, or March this year, yes, Gebo, the company folded and they finally shut down the servers. There was this beautifully written article in Wired about the loss of Gebo and what did this digital dementia look like. And I loved this quote. Again, it's like Gebo was so imperfect, but because there was that personality that had these things rooted in real goals to translate it into actions, people felt that there was a real presence of this character. So my second use case, or my second case study, is for Netflix Interactive, where I work today. And for those of you who don't know, we've launched 6 interactive pieces of content. First was Buddy Thunder, Puss in Book rather. The latest one was Bear Grylls, but today I'm going to talk about Black Mirror Bandersnatch, which most of you may know of. And so when we think about why are we doing this as a company, we really think about the viewer, our users. How can we really make them feel like they have a deeper connection through these characters and make them feel like their agency leads to stronger emotional impact with the story itself. And so are we doing that? And so for Bandersnatch, the response afterwards was incredibly rewarding to see the way that users and viewers responded around the globe, and there was that connection. And so one of the things after we launched Bandersnatch, we wanted to really understand, what motivates user choice, and how can you design an experience and design choices that really can make people feel more engaged. And so this one, for those of you who've seen it, which did most people pick? What do you think? Yes, most people want to kick him in the balls. And the reason is catharsis, is that people want to be able to do this of things that they'll never do, is kick their dad in the balls in real life. Maybe somebody, but not here. And this is another example. So what do you think they chose on first?
I killed Dad.
I have more hope for humanity. Most people chose back off. And again, the motivation comes from empathy, and they wanted Stefan to succeed. And this motivation is actually one that we saw again and again and again. And what's interesting about this is because you can go through and watch multiple times, our stories don't end here. And so what we found after launching Bandersnatch and talking to users is that people have different goals as they go through, but ultimately their goals stemmed from the empathy with Stefan and wanting him to succeed. And so you can see the first thing was like, I want Stefan to succeed. They watch again, find a better outcome for Stefan. Unfortunately, some of these people may have never seen Black Mirror, and they don't know that most times the outcome isn't great. And what was so fascinating, again, afterwards, and this was both on social, but then also in talking with users, is that people really felt this connection to Stefan. And then finally, somebody ended up going ahead and editing a video of Stefan's happy life, and unfortunately, it's only 48 seconds long. So just in closing, just as we are all designing virtual beings, really think about vulnerability of these characters is actually something we should lean into. And having imperfect characters are things that actually draw us. It's human. So take that nugget and go design the next generation of digital characters.